Hey friends, I bought this camera a while back and I made maybe 4 or 5 videos on this camera, and I didn't stick with it because it was just I didn't figure out a good setup to make it work. So what I used to do back then was I would record on the camera by itself, and then I would turn on the audio recording here, and then I would some very elaborate setup, and I would then have to put it in iMovie, and then I'd have to edit it, and then it was just the whole mess. And so I found that really annoying, and I ended up making videos on my phone instead. And so finally I decided to sit down and figure out how to do a nice setup that's easy to use and just not such a pain in the ass. I think I figured it out. So I managed to get the Sony imaging whatever software downloaded on my Mac, and then I connected the camera to the Mac, and then I use OBS, which is the software that like most Twitch streamers use, I think. And OBS lets you pull in the video from the camera and the audio from the microphone, and then you can press start record, and it starts recording a file that has both the video and audio. And then when you press, you can even automatically remix it from MKV to MP4. Like, all this stuff is shit I don't really want to know or care about, but like I had to figure it out to make these videos. And so now it's interesting because I now have a one-click way to make a video with pretty good quality, with my best quality and my best sound. Um, and I think I might still make videos with my phone. That's a choice. If I want to go downstairs and sit outside and I feel like that helps me relax or unwind or whatever, I might do that. But I also think it's likelier now that probably half my videos are going to be me sitting in front of my camera and doing that. Okay, so let's talk a bit. How long has this been going on? 2 minutes. So I'm working on an essay or a set of essays, and I'm just going to talk about that a little bit. I wrote a Substack post after I published my book, and I was very happy with that first Substack post. It's titled "We Were Voyagers." We were voyagers, and after I published that, which was 6 months ago in February, I have been thinking about what to write next. I have all these ideas about what I want to write next. For a while, I wanted to write something about religion and meaning and mythology. I was going to call it either memed into existence or a pantheon of Wojaks, the pantheon of Wojaks. I thought it was clever, but I was doing a bunch of research, and it just spiraled out of control and became this like meta. The word that came to my mind is like over project, like overlord, over like the bigger thing. So it's like, I guess it almost feels like every essay that I have been trying to do wants to be a book. So one of the things I wanted to do as well is I thought, okay, having written Friendly Ambitious Nerd and Introspect as books, I should try and write them as essays. And I've had an incredibly difficult time trying to write them as essays. And it makes sense because, if it were easy to write as an essay, I would have just written the essay instead of writing the book. I needed the space of the book to write these books. I couldn't compress it into an essay if I tried at the start. And so the act of trying to compress the book into an essay is a whole separate challenge. And I've been trying to do that and failing. I have multiple failed attempts. So I set that aside, and then I'm like, okay, what else do I want to write? The Friendly Ambitious Nerd version, I was thinking of doing something about switchboard operators. I'd have a video earlier about switchboard operators as describing people who function as social nodes as connecting bridge nodes in social graphs. And I still think that's a great idea, but I just haven't found the right angle on it for an essay. I can talk about it casually, but like making it an essay is a challenge. I don't know if my standards are too high. I feel like having written 2 books, I now feel obliged that my essays must be really good, which is, I'm not mad about that. It's good to have standards, and I would like to see myself get better as a writer. But it's been hard. It's been hard to come around to the right essay, right? And then I feel like I'm being a bit perfectionist. I'm depriving myself and my audience of the writing. Less than perfect writing would be fine. And neither of my ebooks are perfect anyway. They're both janky, and I admit as such. So I'm doing like a Hail Mary, and what I'm going to publish today is I'm going to write and publish. I'm half written. I'm going to basically just do an overview of all of the essays that I have attempted to write in the past 6 months, but haven't been able to finish. And I'm sort of going to just introduce all of them. It's almost like pulling tissue out of pulling cloth out of a hat. But I'm thinking about it as like, you know, like giving people a tour of what could be, right? Which is what I want. I feel like I have some vision for my Substack that I feel like I have not been able to articulate, and I have not been able to express. Same thing. I have not been able to just lay out. And yeah, I'm still figuring out what I want. I feel like the first post was very visionary and dramatic, and I could follow up that with more of that, but I don't want to do that because I feel like once you do it 2 times in a row, you kind of set the tone as that's what's to be expected. And I want to do something much bigger. I want to do something much broader. And I know that you can try, and it doesn't matter if you do the same thing like 3 times before you change. But yeah, I was talking about this with a couple of friends, and when I was talking about it, I felt like my personal arguments and private arguments with myself seem silly when I try to express it to someone else. And then I'm like, well, so is it silly then? And is it actually silly? Is it actually silly? I was about to say yes, but I feel like there's an answer beyond yes and no. It's the wrong question, I think, right? Like, and I'm reminded of some stuff I've read from Gendlin's Focusing, where if you don't, you're trying to find the answer to a question, and you know it when you have the right answer. And the answer to is it silly to have such grand ambitions for a Substack, such sprawling, grandiose ideas? It's not silly. It is silly, and it's not silly. Is it silly is the wrong question. So what is the right question? What is the right question? The right question is something like, who is the audience? Who are you writing for? Who is this for? Is it for me? It's not exactly for me, because if it was exactly for me, then I don't need. What do I need? Yeah, I guess so there's two separate paths there. One is it for me? If it's for me, what do I need? And if it's not for me, who is it for exactly? And I have a sense of who it's for. It's for my friends. It's for other creative people. I do have this rather arrogant sense that everything other people are doing in the creative sphere is lacking something. That's how it feels to me. So there's something that I want to see that I haven't seen, but I haven't been able to articulate it. So I think I'm not going to be able to get that in the next 2 minutes. So I'm going to end the video here, and I'm going to try and write it into the Substack post, what I want to see. Yeah, I think that's the question. What do you want to see? I got to think about it. Thanks for hanging out. Cheers to better video quality again, and done.